This almost sounds like you stepped into a parallel universe and came back.
You know when you subconsciously get into a meditative state?
You know what it
if
is? It's the bunny. Like a magician's trick, like making the New York City, skyline disappear.
Our dearly beloved guests, we're all gathered here today.
Oh, yes, okay.
As we try, uncover, or break down the unexplainable. Welcome back, everyone. It's so wonderful to have you. We are your hosts, Savannah and Omar.
Well, good to see everybody again. Just have to say that I think my wife looks particularly scrumptious today, just to point that out.
That's very nice. Thank you.
So anyway, we will continue on. We have an exciting episode today, and we are very excited to share with you. This is, again, one of our favorite topics.
But first of all, my husband has had these mugs wrapped in, what's it, bubble wrap?
Yeah, bubble wrap for a while.
On the kitchen counter for like 2 weeks. I keep asking him, it's like, are we going to open these or pack them away?
Yeah,
what are we doing with them?
It's the anticipation. We've learned this from Ryland. He loves the anticipation for something. And so Savannah has this thing where she doesn't want to leave a package unwrapped. It would be like a sin. So...
Well, yeah, if you get a package, open it up.
And,
don't let it sit around.
So I just let these sit around so that they would
just
create
let them sit around. And then I walked in because Omar always does our teas for the episodes. And look how absolutely stunning this is. Yes. So I've got the whale shark and you've got the octopus. If you're watching, you can have a look. But how beautiful are they? They're handmade. So our collection is growing. They're absolutely stunning. Let's give it a taste.
Okay, let's give it a taste.
Oh, it's like a black English tea?
It's English breakfast.
Okay, there we go. It's a black English tea.
So I do have to point out that our little crack in here on my mug does make it a little bit harder to drink the tea, but there is still a spot that you can actually make it work. However, it's still really fun.
It is. It's absolutely my favorite. We have an entire collection, but so far, if you've watched our episodes, let us know what mugs are your favorite, because without a doubt, I think these have steal the show.
Yeah, today we get the classic black tea of the English breakfast. It's a nice August tea blend, but it's one of the classics out there, and we love having those.
Classic is good.
We don't have to have everything blended all the time, so it's going to be fantastic.
Our dearly beloved guests, we're all gathered here today.
Oh, yes, okay.
As we try, uncover, or break down the unexplainable. So
it sounded like we've already been in a funeral or something like that.
Yeah, or like why do you think of a funeral?
Because it's the supernatural.
It's the same as the wedding too.
Okay.
Dearly beloved.
Very true.
We're not at a funeral. We're not at a wedding, but we are at the Munch corner, and we're going to have some fun this morning. So let's see what we have with us today. So our first wonderful title. Mom said I was missing. I was just chilling in my room.
That sounds like a child hiding.
No, I'm just chilling in my room. No, that's not a child hiding.
Well, but I mean, think of it this way. If you have one of those rooms where, there's like a little closet in the back there, and, kids sometimes go in the closets and things like that.
Well, let's find out if she was actually...
Let's find out how supernaturally this is or unexplainable.
So back in the 19s, I was a kid. I don't remember what year it was, but it had to be between 95 and 99. I was probably around 8 at the time, depending on exactly what year it was. I lived in a small town in Florida.
Uh-huh. I
was playing in my room with my stuffed animals, clearly, just playing. I vividly remember my mom taking me to Ross earlier and buying a far stuffed bunny. Okay. I had 2 other stuffed bunnies at home, so I was sitting in my room after playing with them.
Yes.
Okay. I was a kid, so I had no real concept of time, but I feel like I had been playing for 20 to 30 minutes. The door to my room was open this entire time. My mom passes by the room quickly and stops as she catches sight of me and looks startled. Out of nowhere, she starts yelling at me, asking where I've been. She's been worried sick. The police were here. Oh my gosh.
This is not happening in 30 minutes.
No.
But I do agree that for an 8-year-old concept of time, it's very
different. I keep assuring her, I've been in my room playing the whole time. Ooh. It had only been like 20 minutes. What did she mean she'd been looking for me? Didn't she think to check my room? My mom tells me it's been 2 hours. I've got goosebumps on my face. If I have goosebumps on my face, then you should know, and on my entire body.
So we have I don't know how to quite describe it. It's almost like
unexplainable, right?
Very unexplainable. Okay.
She searched the whole house, had been driving up and down the street screaming my name, which I would have heard easily since my window faces the road, and this was a small dirt road neighborhood. Directly across the road was the woods. There wasn't enough traffic to drown that out. She asks, bewildered, if I heard her yelling my name in the house, if I saw her come in my room as well. She said she looked under my bed, in my closet, etc. All of which she would have had to step over me.
Yes, that's very true.
I definitely would have noticed and asked her what she was doing. I never saw the police that apparently came in and searched my room either. Weirdly, she believed me, but neither of us have ever been able to explain it. What happened?
This almost sounds like you stepped into a parallel universe and came back.
Yes.
There are some really famous stories out there of like travelers that just sort of show up and they're completely unexplainable. I still remember one about a traveler that flew into like Tokyo airport and came from a country no one ever heard of, but had an official passport and was bewildered to be here.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow.
So this sounds a lot like that because, you have now space and time that's changing.
Do you think she could have somehow subconsciously taken herself somewhere else?
You mean she did this to herself, like talking about the 8-year-old child?
Yes, but when you subconsciously get into a meditative state.
You know what it is? It's the bunny.
The bunny. Well, yes. I guess she set the stage to kind of hint at maybe it was the new bunny she got.
No, not really.
Realistically, though, but if you get into a meditative state, subconsciously you can take yourself somewhere. What if she went the extra mile and actually took herself somewhere?
So the stuff that I've at least read and experimented with, this is like trying to basically project yourself somewhere else, and I've never told
astral projection.
It's an astral projection, but I haven't told Savannah this before, but I'll just go ahead and say it now. We'll just watch her reaction.
Confession time.
It's a confession time. I was so intrigued by this. And I spent so much time, this is when we were apart. And so she was in South Africa. And for me, I really just wanted to be there. And so I did so much research on this and I tried the meditative states and everything else. I didn't obviously go anywhere, but it was an attempt to try to think, how do you
spy on me?
No, it wasn't to spy on you. It was just to be able to say hi and be with you. And it was just one of these things where, we were so far apart that we really wanted this. I don't know that that's necessarily the same thing here, but people would say, I think in this particular case, that there was something like a rip in, the reality fabric, so to speak. And, it's almost like the daughter stepped on one side and the mom was on the other.
Maybe, this is a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
Maybe she was able to do something with the space of her room because the mom came in and searched the room. But she wasn't
like a magician's trick, like making the New York City, skyline disappear.
Well, something about
something like
part
that.
of her room, the place she was sitting in, like basically just disappear. I don't know. How else do you explain the mom coming running in? The police was there and
clearly
checking under the bed. She was there the entire time.
Yeah, clearly the daughter is thinking or feeling she's in the same place that she's always been.
And I know she was only 8 or 9, but she said it was like incredibly vivid and that the mom believed her as well.
Well, think of it this way. Yes, I think an 8 or 9-year-old might make up something, but wouldn't be able to disappear. So, I think the idea of like, I told Savannah, I'm in the room and then I go hide in the closet and then she shows up. It's like, well, you're not here. It's like, then she goes somewhere else.
You're not hiding in the closet for 2 hours either.
Right. And you wouldn't be able to time it with the police and you wouldn't be able to time it with all these other things.
And then you also would hear something.
And you would hear something too.
Screaming your name and you've got the police over there. You're hearing all that commotion.
Yeah. I know you can do a sleight of hand or maybe a joke of some kind, but not with all that going on. So, I think if you believe both parties, which I think think we have no reason not to.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a very unexplained rip in the fabric of time and space.
That's incredibly amazing.
But this is an experience that's
experienced that at that age.
What would be interesting to see is, I wonder if the place would be part of this reason, right? I mean, sometimes there are meridians of energy that go across the world,
Mm-hmm.
and those are very sacred places for populations and peoples and civilizations.
So the place that she was sitting
So
in,
I'm wondering
okay,
if that
maybe
might have been something like that. I mean, these are the
That
things
could
that would
be.
come to mind for me as an adult kind of researching it. And as an 8-year-old, it's like, you're not getting
Well,
anything.
we're trying to piece this apart. I mean, that could be
So there's
in Florida, right? You need to go.
well, it's
check it
Florida.
out.
I mean, it's got to be something like that, right? I'm teasing. For all those people who live in Florida, we it's a beautiful state. It's not anything like that. We're being a little facetious here, just for the fun of it. But no, this is a very interesting one because it would be like you stepped into a completely different reality.
So someone else had a comment.
Oh, let's hear what that is.
So I had a weird thing happen to me as a kid as well. I can't explain. I played in the woods right by my house. One day I was in there and looked at 2 trees moving, which when I looked up, it was a tall giant man or creature. So as tall trees are, it was dark, jet black, like a shadow. It had a helmet-looking thing on and carried what looked like a giant gun. I was scared in the moment, but didn't feel like it would hurt me. He just looked down at me, but he turned his gun away from me, which is why I felt it wouldn't hurt me. What was this? How could I see it and nobody else could see it or hear it?
Oh gosh, this is actually
I'll
a very
never
interesting
forget
one.
this. It was real. I saw this 100%. It was no dream. It was real.
So this one's fascinating, but I have a different kind of take on it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that story. The idea of trees being alive and moving is very close to me because it falls into kind of my writing a little bit. But this whole concept of walking into a different realm in a forest is connected to a lot of fairy lore.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that the fairies live in, you have to really be interested in Celtic and Scottish and maybe Irish culture, where you're kind of walking. But fairies are actually in multiple cultures anyway. But generally, it's this idea that you go through a forest and you now entered into their realm, which is really on top of our realm. And
They're allowing you to see them in that particular case. The helmet and the gun is a little odd. The helmet, I think, could be anything. It could be something that, you could say it's a medieval helmet. It would fit more into it rather than like saying it's a military helmet from today. But at the same time, I think there's this little part. I would actually believe it. But what I'm really curious about is, where did this happen? Mm-hmm.
Where was this forest? And forests, to me, always have a sort of soul to them. And this is why I love forests as much as I do.
Well, specifically trees tie centuries and centuries back. And
Yes.
this is why they then bring us back to the earth thousands of years ago.
And what's interesting is there's some very, very old trees. I think the oldest one that I'm aware of, I believe it's in Arizona, but it is...
Is it that one where they cut the holes in?
No.
What's that place where
No, that's the Redwoods. That's in Northern
Okay.
California.
Okay.
So those are, that's a beautiful place to go and see it. Don't ever cut through a tree like that. Oh my gosh, what a way to hurt it. But this tree, I think they've thought it was like 4,000 years old, if I remember the story correctly. And they do bridge so much time. The other thing that, since I do love
Can
trees.
you imagine how much energy they hold inside of them?
It's one of those things where we've looked at...
They can ground and let it go, but they can also keep it, right?
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a conduit. So what Savannah is referring to is how our energy is connected to the earth. It's this idea, I think, at a very simple scale. So I know we're kind of going on a small tangent here, but it ties into nature. Think of how you feel when you take a moment, and I think kids are very good at doing this. you take a moment, you run outside in the grass, and so you have your bare feet in the grass, and you sort of like grounded yourself. It feels good. It feels like you've kind of transferred.
It's like a recharge.
It's a recharge, but it's not something you consciously see it. But for those who study energy and energy flow within you and chakras, you would understand that that is a connection back to the earth, and sort of resets ourselves and lets go of energy that we've taken on from others.
So if I have a very intense conversation with a friend or a family member, and you feel that heaviness in like your chest, or just from a physical point of view that people would describe, that's basically the energy you're still holding from that moment or from that person, and then finding a way to go and ground it and release it is very much what we're referring to.
Yeah, and for those of you out there that are skeptics about this, and we completely understand that, I'll challenge you with this very simple scenario. You're driving somewhere, and you feel that someone's looking at you, and you look over and the other driver's looking at you. I mean, not literally while you're driving, like at a stop sign or something like that. So it's this sense that you have that something else is occurring. And I think at a very basic level, a lot of people can feel like, oh, somebody's watching me. That's a transfer of energy that isn't so visible.
Yes, which we refer to as intuition. Sixth sense.
It's a sixth sense. So for those of you that don't really believe in kind of energy flow and that you may pick up some, that's where you can use an example to say, is this really real?
Or energy flow can also be something like deja vu.
Yeah,
except that will tie then into what we believe is past lives. But we won't go off on a tangent.
Right. We already went off on multiple tangents. But I do love that story because this idea that we have potentially parallel universes and there's kind of this rift has been the subject of so much speculation. And I mean, there's no scientific basis you can choose to prove it. But if you look at either written works or movies or stories that are shared, over centuries, this has been part of us, this whole idea that there's parallel realities. And it's fun to see that. So they're experiencing something that has been, I think, inane in our civilizations for thousands of years. Mm-hmm. So it's fun.
It's amazing. It's a wonderful story. I'm glad we could cover it over here. So I have a super developed sense of smell. It handicaps me every day.
It sounds like you.
Oh.
So Savannah has super senses when she's pregnant, which all women do, by the way. I mean, I think to a greater or lesser extent, but hers was the sense of hearing. Very heightened sense of smell, hearing, and sight. And I think these are part of her being very protective of.
The sense of smell was pretty difficult because we have a green waste not too far from here. Yeah. Well, far enough that the average person won't be bothered by it, but
if the wind comes a certain direction,
if the wind came in a certain direction, it felt like it stuffed the house. That's how bad it was.
Well, and then of course there was the food that tastes like licorice, the sausage, which was really
funny. Omar went and bought like a packet of like sausage or something from the store, cooked it up, and
it tastes like sausage. It doesn't taste like anything else. It was part of one of our meals.
And every single time he makes that sausage, it's licorice. It tastes like licorice to me, without a doubt.
And I can tell you it doesn't taste like licorice because I am so highly adverse to licorice.
That's what's funny. Omar cannot stand licorice. He would never have it ever again.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Anyway, let's see what we got here. It's funny. This is interesting.
Ever since I was a little kid, I've had a super sensitive sense of smell, and it's not always convenient. I can smell if the guy in front of me is vaping on the highway, going fast with the windows closed. People's perfume makes me sick, morning, noon, and night. Wow. People's breath, too. When my wife sprays Febreze in the bedroom, I guess that's a type of air freshener.
Yeah, it's an air freshener, yeah.
I can't sleep in there for days. The smell wakes me up like a jolt, and my brain can't get past it. Mm-hmm. Same with essential oils and everything that goes with them. I can tell if you live with a dog, whether it's big or small.
Wow.
Rain or shine, inside or outside. The dog smell lingers. The cat litter stabs my lungs after a week, even if I can clean it regularly. Drinking from a plastic cup makes me sick.
She cannot have any animals around her.
No matter what liquid it is, I feel like I'm drinking plastic. Same with cardboard. When the neighbor downstairs puts on deodorant, I can smell it in my bathroom with the ventilation system.
Wow, this person does have a super sense.
I cross the street when I see the rotisserie chickens. Otherwise, my clothes will smell all day. I've never been able to eat without smelling the dish first. When I was little, I quit soccer because of the smell of the locker rooms. The whole family made fun of me, but I'm still serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's disabling because it's getting worse and worse. And depending on the situation, I have to move because I can't think about anything else. My brain is paralyzed by the smell. I need it to be neutral everywhere. Has anyone else ever experienced this? Wow.
Wow, not to that extent that I've ever been aware of. It doesn't mean there's not other people out there.
It really is disabling because everything has smells.
So you can imagine we, in our sense of smell, is not, I mean, we're okay, I'll put it that way. I mean, but we're not like, for example, other creatures out there, like dogs, I think are 200 times more sensitive to smell. But they smell each other in places we don't want to talk about. And they don't care about that. But
this person
is not a dog, but she seems to have the same, I would call it is a super sense, right? I mean, so it's, on the one hand, I kind of have an admiration of it. On the other hand, I could see how it would be.
I think for the most part in the day and age we live in, you probably do not want to have a heightened sense of smell with everything around.
So there are people out there that have this, and they tend to go into professions that really capture this in many ways.
That would be putting it to good use.
Right. But I mean, it's like she can't stand the smell of perfume, but a lot of these people that have the scent are able to discern, like there's a hint of clove or essential oils into something.
Can you imagine going into like a restaurant or a coffee place and you can smell everyone's breath or know if they've got dogs back home?
No, I really can't. I mean, I think there's a sense of blissful ignorance that you like to have a little bit. I have a sensitive smell in the sense.
How does this person mind their own business if they can smell all the business? That's basically what it feels like.
I don't know. I mean, because then how do you handle having, a child in the house? Or I mean, frankly, she talked about cleaning out the litter, so she's got a cat. I don't know that I could handle having a cat if I could smell the litter. I can't stand the litter right now, and I don't have that sensitivity, to it. I mean, so there's so much that she's going through, but it's getting. By
the way, it's a he.
Oh, I'm sorry, he.
So when my wife sprays.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right.
Unless they're.
No. But I would assume he, yes, but
yes.
But that means that person is going to have a very hard time living anywhere. I thought when you first started reading the story, he was sensitive to things like chemical, plastics, vaping, smoke. These are the sorts of things where I would say, okay, I kind of get that. Then you maybe have an aversion to like a chemical kind of smell.
They did say as well, if they drink from a plastic or cardboard cup, they feel like they're just tasting plastic. But I do sometimes get that.
Yeah, no.
I'm drinking from a plastic cup.
we can have that, but then the problem was he was talking about things like essential oils, and so those are concentrated smells, but they're natural smells.
I wonder how he deals with like pollen during the spring.
I would assume that anything in nature would be very heightened as well. But the question for him, I think, is going to be, if you're living in suburbia, I mean, we're surrounded by this stuff, right? I mean, if you're living in a city, imagine how much more it is over here. I mean, Savannah was sensitive to the kind of the green waste person when the wind was blowing the wrong way. But realistically, I mean, there's cars out there that are driving. And if you live in a city, it's even worse. It's concentrated.
Oh, you remember when we had fish and it tasted like soap?
Oh gosh.
I looked at Omar. We were having sushi. And
there was no attempt here. It was not bad fish. This was great sushi.
Our usual spot, very great sources that they get it from, and I'm eating it, and I'm trying to take another bite and find out if maybe there was soap left over on the dish that we were eating from.
That she was speculating.
I asked him to taste it if it tastes like soap, and he said no.
Well, this is the conversion I think that a woman goes through when she's pregnant. And so this is, Savannah has small taste. So again, the controversial subject about whether you have some or no sushi at all. But this place, I could tell you, guarantee you never had it. I mean, the best Japanese sushi places they tend to be very incredibly selective about their fish. If a place has a weird little taste of the fish, you got to probably go somewhere else. I mean, I would say you can get cheap sushi. That's not going to happen. But it wasn't soap, and it wasn't soap on the dishes as well.
No, it's the only place that we go to for sushi.
Right.
So
It was very heightened.
Very, very strange.
But I'm going to have to say,
I do feel sorry for him.
I do feel sorry for him.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one, but I would probably have to say he needs
maybe
a country life.
Or no, but he's going to be too isolated. Maybe if he gets a smell that he really likes and he gets it in a concentrated oil or something, maybe if he puts it on the tip of his nose.
Well, that will mask it, but it certainly will concentrate everything else. I would hate to have him wear a mask.
No, don't wear a mask. That doesn't solve things.
It doesn't really solve anything.
No.
But I would have to say he's going to have to live in a place that minimizes some of these particularly noxious odors to him. Mm-hmm. That's a tough one.
And hopefully his wife helps him kind of just minimize perfume and smells that he might be sensitive to as a partner as much as you can.
But it is a superpower, but one that I think most of us are not used to having to that extent. So,
all right. Well, let's move on to the next one. Mm-hmm. I saw someone I knew when they were not there.
Okay.
All right. So I've never believed in anything supernatural. No ghosts, no spirits, no cryptids, no gnomes or goblins, none of that. I'm an atheist through and through. But there's one thing that happened to me.
I'm going to take a moment here. I laugh at this because you could say, well, I'm devout in my religion, or I'm a total atheist here, or I don't believe in anything.
Well,
it doesn't change anything.
A lot of people will refer back to their religion to explain things.
Yes. So this person is clearly saying that is not a source.
Okay.
Okay.
We will be your source. We'll try to see what this could be. But there's one thing that happened to me when I was 8 years old that still makes me question what I saw that day. Back then, I lived in my home country. Our house sat right next to my grandparents' place on the same property. The two houses were separated only by a small hill that started at the front gate and sloped up to the stairs leading to my grandparents' door. I grew up with my paternal cousins, who were basically my sisters. They spent every other week at my grandparents' house with my aunt, and the other weeks with their dad, since my aunt and uncle were divorced. So one day I was lying on the hammock on our front porch, half dozing, when I saw one of my cousins walking up from the front gate towards my grandparents' house. She was wearing her favorite green dress with the little lemon patterns on it. I remember it clearly because she loved that dress. It was her thing. I called out her name and waved. She turned, gave me her usual half shy smile and a half a frown, and waved back before continuing up the hill towards the house. I didn't think much of it at first until I realized she and her sister were supposed to be at their dad's place.
Oh, okay.
I was confused at first, but decided to brush it off. Maybe plans had changed. After probably about 5 minutes, I decided to head over to my grandparents' house and see if she wanted to play. When I walked into the kitchen, I saw my aunt standing by the counter. I hugged her and asked her where my cousin was. She looked at me like I just said something strange. She's not here this week. She said she's at her dad's. She'll be here next week and you two can play then. Well, I froze. I told her I'd just seen my cousin walking up to the house in her green dress, not even 10 minutes ago. My aunt frowned and shook her head. No, sweetheart, she's not here. My grandma overheard and came over, equally confused. She confirmed the same thing. My cousin hadn't been there at all that day. My aunt had literally just dropped her off at her dad's earlier this morning. Mm-hmm. I remember just standing there trying to make sense of it. I knew what I saw. I knew the way she smiled, the way she waved, the exact dress she was wearing. It wasn't a trick of the light or some shadow. It had to have been her.
There's so much in here that is actually interesting, but I think a little bit more explainable, I should say. But let's see which.
Could they have been pranking me? Maybe. That does fit. My aunt's not, that doesn't fit. My aunt's not the joking type, and she looked genuinely concerned when I insisted I had seen her daughter. So to this day, I have no explanation. Maybe it was a trick of my young mind, some kind of misfiring memory, or a vivid hallucination. But the memory is crystal clear, as real as any other. And even though I don't believe in anything supernatural, ...
Yeah, of course.
That day still makes me wonder.
Well, I'm glad that there's a little bit of wondering here, because I think we all need to have a little bit of this in us. Uh, she sounds very interesting. So she's very connected to her cousin. The dress is a repetitive thing because it's her cousin's favorite dress, and her habits and mannerisms are also very much that. The part that got me a little bit was she's dozing off on a hammock at the front porch.
I have a guess too.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then I think for me, it's like you're a little bit in a dream state, and you were thinking about, I don't know, missing her and everything else. And then in that in between waking up and sleeping, you can feel like there's something you projected what you wanted to see, and you wanted to go play with her, but she was gone that week. So I think from an 8-year-old's point of view, that would be the explanation I would provide. But it's also very sweet because she's very connected to her cousin. I
think very much the same as what you were thinking, that in the missing of her cousin, she projected, either if it was in a dream of her dozing off, or whether she had actually very strongly missed her and vividly projected her out. And that's the memory that she had.
However, that being this case, which is something I really do appreciate about this, and it'd be nice if the author would consider this in her sense of how she looks at religion. If you have such a strong connection to somebody, is there any reason why they wouldn't be connected outside of literally the physical? And I think that, I mean, you and I have experienced that. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful part of being connected. We experienced it, I think, very early on, which is why Savannah has a nickname. And it's because it came from this connection that we have. So even though I could never 100% swear to this in any way, but my sense was that she had come to see me long before we had met. And it was a familiarity with, you can call it a visitor if you want to, but it was her to me. And so there was this kind of connection that occurred through our past lives as we kind of look back and try to understand and piece that. And it's been something that's been a source for us to look for. But what it is the connection to souls. And I think this 8-year-old girl was connected to her cousin at a soul level. I'd be curious to see if they still share a very strong bonded connection, years and years later.
If they've had anything after that.
If they've had anything after that. Because I would think if they were that close and they were that connected and that energy was there, that memory of that energy is connected to them, that they would have also a very long lifetime.
I have no doubt that that's probably a possibility.
So, I mean, this is fun for us because we're exploring things that we, not only do we believe in, but we are open
Love
to
continue exploring ourselves.
It is part of
what we know now.
It's part of a long-term journey. I mean, I think when I met Savannah, she was looking for this part of her.
I was trying to find basically where I belonged in the sense of religion and belief and just what the world really is and has to offer. So I very much would go with my grandmother to church and, listen to all the sermons and everything. And it just felt like I never fit in anyway. And I was very much, my family refers to me as the white sheep of the family. I know the saying is normally the black sheep of the family, but I was very much the one that stood out in the family. And I just always felt like I was overly sensitive to everything around me. And I had all these things occurring to me as I was growing up. And in Omar's and I's friendship, we connected on a soul level. And our familiarity with each other just was inexplainable. So
think of it this way. If we look at, and the best way I can give it to you is I can give you examples from my side. So Savannah being the most treasured and twin flame example, you're connected to someone in a way that you can't explain and it's immediate. I have a few very, very good friends. And a couple of them, it's one of those feelings. I'll tell you probably about Nick. He's one of my closest friends, and when you look at him, and Nick and I met through work. He interviewed at a company that I had, and he was trying to come in for a position. Within like 5 minutes, we knew it wasn't a fit. He was looking for something different. The company wasn't looking for that. We had 3 hours during that interview. And the 5 minutes is when we figured out the work thing wasn't there. And we've known each other for 30 plus years at this point. And he's family to me. And so there are people in your life that end up coming into your life that are an immediate connection for you. And you have to ask yourself why that person versus somebody else. Mm-hmm. And the explanation that Savannah and I have figured out over the years is it's really your soul family. Those are the people that are with you over and over and over again. And that's why you're so connected to them. That's why you're familiar to them. And I think there's a very important part of the journey that you are reconnecting through this lifetime with your soul family. And your soul family is extended to a lot of different things. Now, a twin flame is very different. So Savannah and I are the two sides of the same thing. Mm-hmm. That's the twin flame component of it.
And it's not to say that we're the exact same person in likes, dislikes.
No, we're
traits
not.
And everything.
So
it's in a soul perspective.
From a soul perspective, it's different. So it's a beautiful, beautiful part of where our journey got to. Mm-hmm. I had my first experience in trying to understand this in my, I would say, mid-20s. And it was one of those moments where I could not understand it. And I began later on, and I think over time, and I would say at least a decade later, I was finally able to start piecing together what that really meant. And in that particular case, it was a past life memory for me. And I've had the privilege of remembering a few things. And when you remember a past life, it's not like you're remembering everything in the life. You're remembering a very poignant memory within that lifetime. And there's this part of me that always wishes that we would remember all of them, because it's a buildup of who you are and where you're going on your soul's journey. So for me, it was this awakening that was occurring. And it was very slow. It took me a very long time. With Savannah, it was like lightning fast. I mean, it was like she's an old soul, let's start with that. And she already figured out that there was a path she was looking for. And then when we connected, that door opened up for her. And even though there's still a whole lifetime of learning to figure this out a bit more.
It definitely felt like the floodgates had opened.
The floodgates opened. And it was a lot for her to take in, but she beautifully took it in, and she still is.
So this is very much Omar's and I's discovery of our beliefs and what we believe in general, whether it's you look at it in a religious perspective or a spiritual perspective. We are very much spiritual in our beliefs.
Yes.
And we are open to, there's a lot more that needs to be discovered. And in order for us to discover that, we need to be open to it every single day and actively try to look for something. But a lot of it, you get guided through the energy of your soul.
So it's part of being open to yourself. I mean, this is a very quiet part of you. A lot of people get so caught up in activity and stimulation. And stimulation can be anything from watching movies to being out with friends to, being high-level activities. These are all very stimulating things. But it's until you get your soul in a quiet place that you start really feeling and connecting with this. And so I would encourage anybody to give yourself that. And a lot of people have a hard time, for example, if they're social, they don't want to be by themselves.
Well, think about it. How are you supposed to concentrate on any task that you're doing if you have an entire room that's basically loud or people screaming at you?
You can't.
Your soul is quieted down in a very highly stimulated situation.
I would say it's just overshadowed. I mean, it's drowned out.
It is.
Right? So it'd be like listening to a whisper in a room filled with a rock concert. You can't hear it.
And this is why the practice of meditation is an incredible way for you to be able to, see and discover what and where your soul wants to take you. I know we've gone off on a tangent here,
but honestly, I don't think we have. I think
it does tie into it.
This is exactly what I think the cousin and this person have really connected with.
Believe it or not, it ties into our wonderful thing that we like telling our audience. You know, if you're still trying to figure out life, aren't we all?
Yeah.
It's very much tied to our spirituality.
It is. And just for those people out there that have a very strong religious faith, this does not negate that. I mean, for us, it's integrated together. It's not separate.
Mm-hmm. There's no right or wrong.
And there's no right or wrong, and we're not looking for that. It's the idea that we're all into one community. We are all connected. We are connected to each other. We're connected to nature around us. We're connected to animals. I mean, we're connected to this earth.
And I like telling Omar as well, when we're on the topic of religion and spirituality, it's no different to people wanting to give something a name or a title to better understand it.
Yes, no, that's very true.
Whether you're Jewish or you're Christian, the whole idea is that if you feel like saying what religion you are makes you feel more connected to your community or like you belong, that's 100% your prerogative. But it's very much just for us. We don't have to put a label on it to necessarily feel it or understand it.
And this journey for us has always been very exciting, because I think when there are moments where the puzzle is more clear. Mm-hmm. So the visual description I can give you that we share, or particularly I share, is it's like looking at a giant mosaic in front of you. I mean, huge mosaic, and you can imagine it's enormous. And you can't see everything. But when one piece of that mosaic goes into that one spot and there's clarity around something, it's really exciting. It's very exciting, mm-hmm. because all of a sudden now there's one more piece that's sort of come forward, and then it makes you want to look for the next one and the next one after that. And so that's the openness.
Like every single day we never stop learning.
Right.
And I don't think we're necessarily anywhere close to probably understanding it entirely.
Oh gosh, no. I mean, we will spend a lifetime still searching.
Yes.
So.
And that's the fun part about basically the unexpected journey of where we're going.
Well, the unexplained is so fascinating mm-hmm. for us. I mean, a lot because of this. And this is why we listen to these stories and we read them, and we realize there is so much out there that people are wondering about and they're asking themselves.
And always ask questions.
Yes.
I think that's one of the best things you could ever do. Someone asking questions isn't a ridiculous
or
silly person. If anything, that's the best way to go about life is being curious.
Yeah. And this is why I love this last story so much. I mean, the other ones are absolutely wonderful too, but this one is a soul connection story to me more than anything else. And I'm hoping that the person who wrote it still shares that soul connection with,
well, like you said, at least they're questioning it despite their beliefs.
They're asking, and I think the belief part was put in there very specifically because they were saying, "Hey, I shouldn't be even asking this question, but I can't explain it." So, I think by the fact that you're realizing there is a barrier that's provided through labels, but you're still asking that question. That's
certain labels won't be able to answer questions like this, which is why you don't need a label to answer the question.
So that's back to what Savannah's suggestion. Don't put something on there and just be open. And it doesn't mean it's conflicting if you have different other beliefs as well. So it all fits in together. It really does.
And maybe one day we'll understand why, but for now.
I hope so.
We will. But thank you so much for joining us in this unexplainable episode of Wonderful Stories. And we hope to hear stories from our audience as well.
Do share. I mean, I think we love the fact that we're one giant community. We love the fact that our viewership is growing, and there's a reason for that. And it's because we have a passion for this. And I think we've touched a chord with a few people out there. So hearing from you is extremely important to us. We absolutely love it. So please give us comments, make requests if you'd like to, and then we'll explore. We'll explore the unusual, the strange, and the everyday.
The everyday as well. Well, okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We will see you next time.
Until next time.
And we have a few surprises coming up.
Oh, I love that. And now you're going to love it too.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Until next time.
Bye.